Hey friends, welcome back to my garden and my greenhouse. I am out in the back porch, which we affectionately refer to as the greenhouse, and I have a superstar of a plant. It is a carambola. If you're not familiar with that, if you see that bright or kind of almost banana, but not quite ripe banana yellow fruit with the unusual shape called a star fruit, then that is the same plant that I pulled some seeds out of a fruit that I got at the grocery store, and I soaked them kind of as a manner of stratifying, and then I put them in some soil and kept them under a dome, and they had a nice consistent level of humidity and they sprouted, and I wasn't sure if it would or not, but again, hey, why not try? Because gardening is fun, it's experimenting, it's just getting in there and giving something a go. So I have probably about 7 or 8 plants in here. There's a couple of little tiny sprouts just coming up right in here. There we go. Some of the seeds that had sort of floated up to the surface of the soil and I popped them back down in have now germinated. So the seed, if you're not familiar with it, it looks a little bit like a flattened apple seed, about that size and that dark brown shiny color. And they get a nice little root system on it. You can see maybe right in there some of those roots kind of popping up on the surface. But this plant does grow into a tree. So I would say it's a medium, small to medium kind of tree from what I saw actually when we were on a cruise in maybe St. Lucia or one of those islands down there. There was actually a resort called the Carambola, and we drove through it on a tour, and they had tons of these fruits and the trees growing in their resort. And it's just a beautiful tree. You can see how these leaves are sort of cascading down, a little bit like a mimosa, but not as fine. So I want to give these a good chance to spread out and to be successful. So I have prepared about a half dozen of these small planters. They do have holes in the bottom, and there's a little saucer that I can put it with, but I'm actually, rather than the saucer, sorry, I'm OCD, I had to get the right color. So they have these tiny little plant saucers that came with them. These were cheap on Amazon. I can give you a link if you're interested. But rather than that for now, I'm actually going to use the bottom section of a seed starting set, obviously from Burpee, if you can see that. And I want to arrange these in here so that I can keep them more moist and humid by bottom watering them in this tray. And this is a nice sturdy kind of plastic tray that will hold the water for small plants and seed sprouting. It came with an insert, I think it was the 32 cell, kind of a medium sized seed starter or sprouter that have a silicone base in them that you can pop them out easily. And I'll show you that right over here. I've got it full of peat at the moment because I was trying to start some stuff, but just didn't quite work out. So that silicone, you can just push right up in the bottom of it and pop out those cells once there's something started in there. But this, again, is not sponsored yet. I would love if Burpee would help me out, but got to start somewhere, maybe one day. So all I'm going to do today is I have prepared some of these pots with the Miracle Grow moisture control potting soil, which is one of my favorites I've mentioned frequently here. And I chose not to do the palm and citrus blend. Honestly, just kind of, who knows, one may be better than the other, but I'm mostly concerned about keeping a good moisture level because this is a very tropical oriented plant. So I want to retain enough moisture in it, and that palm and citrus is a little bit more about drainage than about retention, and the moisture control hits a nice balance where it doesn't get soggy, it doesn't hold too much, but it holds enough that the plant stays well hydrated. So that's what I'm going for at the moment, and I'm gonna have to upsize these before long if this tree keeps growing. I think this is about 3 weeks of growth since I put them in the soil, and I had the little sprouts with a shorter dome. I extended a taller dome. These honestly are, I think they call them cafeteria containers. They're just plastic serving containers. They come with a flat lid, but what I usually do is I take a second one of these and I flip it upside down. And if I feel like it's staying too wet in there, then I will offset the rim just slightly so that there's a little bit better airflow, and that keeps it from molding or just from getting too much humidity around the plant, but still keeping enough that it stays well hydrated, that the soil keeps a consistent level. There is no drainage in this unless I chose to add it, which I've not done. So I try to be careful not to overwater. I just kind of sprinkle the water around, and being a clear container, you can really see how down at the bottom the soil is sticking to the sides of the container. There's some bubbling right here where it's not sticking as much. You can see if the water starts pooling at the bottom as that level comes up. You might even want to tip out some of the water if you get too much, but once those seeds have set at least 1 or 2 sets of leaves, these are kind of the baby leaves, how they come out right here at the bottom. Once it's got at least 1 or 2 sets of these and it's a couple inches long, then you want to use less water. You want to keep it from getting soggy because those roots are developing. Those roots are what's going to rot the fastest. So all I'm going to do today is just split these out. So I feel a little nervous when I do this because there's always that bit of risk that I could damage something, but I'm going to just slide that right out, and I can see roots all the way down to the bottom of this, which is exciting, honestly. And I don't want to damage them. I just want to break them apart. So I've got this little potting tray that I use. Oh, that half came off beautifully. So let's start with that. This is actually a grout mixing pan that came from a hardware store years ago, and I just use it for a great little catch-all as a makeshift potting bench until I decide to get something fancy. So I've got some more of this moisture control soil. Just want to get it filled right up to the top because this soil is really dry right now. If I had chosen to hydrate the soil before planting, then I wouldn't want to overfill each pot, because when I water it, it's going to tend to settle and to kind of sink in a little bit. So I'm just going to break these apart again right here. Oh, that's a bunch. Just pressing that in, putting a little bit more soil right in around it. I want to try to keep it nice and straight. If you remember my videos about the avocado tree, part of the problem was I believe it had been transplanted before it came to me, and it wasn't upright by the roots. So by the time that I got it, those roots had kind of established in a very crooked direction, and the tragic result of me trying to encourage it to straighten up was that I broke the stem, the trunk of that small tree that I had going there, and it just would have been better if it could have been potted upright to begin with. So you live and learn, and that's a big part of gardening, is learning from your success and also from your failures. And being a younger child in my family, I kind of had this habit as a kid of trying to learn as much as I could from the failures of my older siblings, because I didn't have to suffer the consequences of those failures. So that's a little inside joke, I guess, with my my brother at least. But just having a little bit of trial and error. It's not always a bad thing. So I've got 3 containers that have 1 plant each, and I'm going to end up with 3 containers that have 2 plants each, and I'm okay with that. The second plant in this one is one of those tiny seeds that's just coming up. But I can work with that okay. So give me some comments. I need the comments to be able to continue growing my channel. I love that some of y'all have been really consistent about liking my posts and even getting a few shares on my posts. But the comments are going to be a big step towards helping me grow my platform. Not only does it show your friends, if you're on a social platform, shows your friends that you're interacting with my page, but it also will help the numbers of my page. And full disclosure, my ultimate goal is that I can monetize this so that I can keep it going. And the more that I can build my reach, build my interaction on the page, the better that reach and that impact long term is going to be, where I can get maybe some sponsorships, maybe some help with continuing to grow my garden and my channel. So help me out. Give me some comments. Tell me, how have you changed what you do in gardening because of what you've seen on my channel or on somebody else's pages? What can I learn from you? And tell me, what's the last thing you sprouted? So here we go. I've got 1, 2, 3. This has got a tiny little double in it. I think you can see that. This has got maybe even a tiny little triple. I think that might be one of those extra seeds I was talking about. And then where's the other one? This one right here has just the babyest little sprout right there. There he is. So we'll see how that does. And this plant is definitely leaning, but my roots seem to be straight. So I think it was just getting kind of anxious for a little extra light. So I have a new shelf in behind me. Again, I purchased this myself. I bought it on Amazon. Just a simple wire shelf that you can get from different brands, different styles. I can give you a link if you're interested. Leave me a comment so that I know that you want that link. And I don't benefit from that link at this point, but I'm happy to share and spread the love. But I'm gonna set these up on this shelf. Like I said, I'll be bottom watering this and just keeping a slight level where the soil doesn't get soggy. Nobody likes wet feet, so you want to make sure that your plants stay hydrated without being oversaturated. And I've installed an old mechanic's lamp. It's just a fluorescent bulb that my husband had. It's been laying around in the garage and he's not using it, so I kind of borrowed it for my shelf. So this is going to be a nice good source of light for my sprouts and plants, and I'll upgrade it eventually to something with the better spectrum for the daylight, and there's the pink light and the blue light and all the different range of sprouting and growing artificial sources of light that imitate the natural light the best possible. But for right now, here's our star, the star fruit, the Carambola, and I'll keep you posted on how these are doing. Let me know what you want me to check in on next. If there's something that you've seen in a previous video or a previous plant spotlight that maybe I haven't shown you recently, remind me about it. Tell me, hey, how is this or that doing? And I'll be happy to show it off. I love sharing and showing my plants. I've got my pretty little monstera over there that's not so little, and I just enjoy sharing my garden with you. I hope that you do truly take time and make time to enjoy your garden. Whatever it is, if your garden consists of a patch of grass in front of your apartment, great. If it consists of a full-blown vegetable orchard, any of the range in between, just make some time, get out and enjoy it. The world around us is a beautiful place if we take time to see it. So have a great day, have a great week. See you next time.